Hey there, Aquarius. Welcome to your reading for the week of September 29th. You start with this card that says sing your own song, and you have this wasp spirit that says sometimes life stings. I feel like you're worrying too much about something here. That's kind of like what I get intuitively, or it's like you're worrying about an outcome. That card says sing your own song. And Aquarius, with Pluto in your sign, for the next 20 years, then, it is time for you to kind of sing your own song, to share your own ideas and to be more confident in your ideas. It's like sometimes I talk about how I think people forget that Pluto is power. It's like in your own sign. I know that some people don't like that word, but the alternative is to be weak. So I don't know if you don't like it, deal with it. But what I would say here is that we all have to use our power in some way, and I kind of feel like some of you are maybe too worried about the outcomes of something that you want to do with your life, or there could be some fears around it. The other thing, your first row is going to represent your current general energies, and you have the Three of Swords, Page of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles. I get a little bit more past energy here, and I'm not talking about love either. This could be I feel like it's multiple different aspects in your life where you are wishing that things went a different way in the past, or you are wishing that maybe you saw something before it happened, wishing the whole if I knew then what I know now type of energy going on here. I feel like some of you, it's maybe some of you do need to forgive yourself for that, forgive the things you didn't see, and, forgive yourself for the things that you didn't know. And, for some reason, that's what's popping into my head with this card, is that, maybe that exercise would be good for some of you. For others, I do feel it could be about forgiving people. And again, not just in love. That could be part of it, but there could be, there seems to be a bigger picture type thing going on here where it's like you're forgiving people who never supported you, which could be, multiple different types of relationships that have been in your life. The whole point of the Three of Swords is that those swords are in your own heart, and you have to remove those swords so that you can heal. And do I feel this is a big deal? No. But I feel like it's a small deal for you right now, where there could be some blockages or, some ideas that are getting in your way, preventing you from doing work, because it's almost like, again, I'm not picking on you here, at all, Aquarius, when I say this, but it's almost like you are letting these old stories, be a blockage, or, it's like maybe even without realizing this. And again, I'm far from perfect. I do the same stuff. So, I'm right there with you, Aquarius. And, but again, it's like I feel like this is something you could be working on this week, is these blockages, or, overcoming these past, assumptions that people have made about you. And it just seems to be like the dragon you're slaying this week. You have this dragon card in your next row. I'll show you in a minute. And I feel like this is the thing that you are maybe focused on overcoming. Kind of makes sense. We just had that eclipse in Virgo. We have the South Node in Virgo. I think sometimes people forget how deep of an energy this is. We don't necessarily consider Virgo to be a deep sign, but it's the opposite of Pisces, which is a deep sign. So, definitely a deep work energy going on here. You have the Page of Swords. It's again, Page of Swords is curiosity, but it can represent looking too much into something, like why did this happen? Why did that happen? And I just feel that is a little bit of the challenge that you're overcoming. Again, I wouldn't even tell you not to look at it, to look at these blockages or issues or whatever it is, that went on in your life. I don't think you need to eliminate these thoughts, or I don't think you need to eliminate thinking about it, but maybe so much, right? Like if your days are being dominated by worries about the future or whatever, it's like thinking about it and coming up with a plan and then executing on the plan would be better than just thinking about it all day long. And I feel right next to it, or below that Page of Swords, I should say, you have the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles says, is the juice worth the squeeze? I feel if some of you are worried about something this week, that, it's like, you're not getting any juice out of that. It's like you need to change your focus to things that produce a result in your life, instead of, focusing on, what the future holds, or, whatever the case may be. It's kind of funny that we go up to the Queen of Wands, because the Queen of Wands is my card of she's my card of learning as you go, but she's also my card of like doing what you got with what you got. It's like she might, and very similar to like the Queen of Pentacles. She might not have all the resources she needs to go on an adventure or to start something, but she does it anyway. Yes, with the Three of Swords, like there's much more available for you in the future than you probably think. Three of Wands is about, expanding past these issues and kind of like exploring solutions that have an action maybe, or looking into things on a deeper level. And that's exactly what I would do with that Three of Wands, is expand. With the Page of Swords, you have the Seven of Cups. Yes, that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't. There are so many different things that could happen in our lives, and it's like just so random, and anything could go in any direction. The Seven of Cups, the problem, this is exactly, what I've been babbling on about at the beginning of this reading, is that, he's looking at a dream that he has, but really what he's doing is he's looking at all the potential outcomes that could happen. But this guy here, but he's spending too much time doing that. He's not getting started. He's just dreaming of something. He's just like, oh, if I start this business, or if I get into this relationship, or if I work on my health, or, he's thinking about the initial idea, and then he's thinking, oh, but last time I did this, I failed, or, it could work, but this could happen. It's like that type of thinking. Or, I feel like this is encouraging you to, kind of get away from that energy. And that's really what I would say there. With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the Five of Pentacles. I feel like this is basically what popped up into my head in the beginning of the reading, is that you're fearing being left out in the cold, or you're fearing that something that you're thinking about won't work or can't work. And, the trick with the Five of Pentacles is that, again, they're calling attention to all the reasons why something can't work. They're focusing on their weaknesses. They're not focusing on their strengths. You have the Strength card right here. So I feel that this would be an excellent week for you to do some, deep work, to focus on your strengths, and maybe even prove to yourself your own strength. I think this is a good activity. I tell everybody to do this. It's like sometimes we have to start small, and we have to prove to ourselves that we can do something. And it's like, even if you just have a teeny tiny little win, you're going in the right direction. You're starting to prove to yourself that you can do something, whatever it is, and I would do it. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this question card. It says surroundings, guides, and circumstances. You have this Earth card. It says stability, fertility, balance, and nurture. Yes, I think you need something to nurture almost. It's like you need something to take care of, or you need something to like work on, or maybe it's like the passion needs to return. You have that Ace of Wands. Again, kind of a common problem I feel for people right now, because we have Neptune retrograde. Neptune retrograde is very interesting because and especially since it's going to be retrograding into Pisces in October, it's like we have to be inspired to do something with Neptune retrograde. Like we need inspiration for things to work, and if we try to force something to work, it definitely won't work. The weird thing about Neptune retrograde is that we have to go and get the inspiration to get inspired, to get started in the first place. So, it's like the inspiration has to come from us. It has to come, we have to be the one that gets ourselves excited about, a project or an idea, but usually we don't get it first. Like we have to start, and then the inspiration comes, right? And also, we are just an amazing time to nurture things into existence. So, I would be nurturing things, or finding something to nurture. You have the Ace of Wands, the Seven of Wands, and the Temperance card. I feel pretty good about this row. I do feel like you are finding something. Even your last row, in the area of the good stuff, it's like you have the Four of Cups, Nine of Swords, and the Moon. But all these cards in the good stuff would kind of represent getting clarity. The Moon card, the Moon card and the good stuff, to me, represents finally being clear on your journey. And so you could be finding that inspiration, but I just want to encourage you to take action. Like, let's say you have an idea to start a business, or, to start a project or something personal. It's like, take those first steps, because that's, even if you do something small, that's where the inspiration for the right idea is going to come from. But if you don't get started, then you're probably just going to overthink something. And I also think something could be becoming more confusing the more you think about it. which is usually what happens, right? It's like, I always tell a story, like I've worked in business for many years. I have other businesses other than this, and many businesses people I've worked with, one thing I've noticed is that some of them aren't very smart, and this is not like, I'm not saying that to be a jerk. I'm just saying, like, some of them, if you meet them, you'd be like, how is this person so freaking successful? But that's why, right? They don't overthink every single freaking idea that they have. They don't, they don't spend hours and hours a day being like, oh, this isn't going to work. It's almost like, what some people call the curse of knowledge. If you know too much, then you come up with all the reasons why something won't work. If you are maybe not as smart, then you don't think about that. So you just do it, and then you end up successful, right? And so I kind of feel that here with the Ace of Wands, where it's just saying, like, allow yourself to be inspired. Just, even if you don't think something will work, just try it. You don't have to commit to it forever. You can just try something and see where it goes. It's kind of funny that the Ace of Wands comes up so much in these readings lately, and I really feel we are in this time of like out with the old and with the new. So we all need to get with the times. I think we all need to be using new technologies and things like that in business and work especially, but also other areas of life. Like I absolutely think that AI could totally kill us, but I still use it. It's like I still use it for research. I still use it for to help me come up with ideas and things like that. So that's what I'll say about that, right? It's like sometimes we have to put our pride aside, and that's almost what I'm getting for you here with the Ace of Wands. There's something about it that's like saying, it's like, I don't know if it's pride or something else, but if you would just move, I think things would go very well. You have the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is a card of conviction. It's a card of like knowing that that something is going to work. This is another thing that I'm a big fan of for you specifically, Aquarius, right now, is working on your mindset. Kind of like brainwashing yourself into believing that something can be successful. I feel beyond that, though, it's like those little wins would be very important. It's like you're creating these little micro proofs in your life that will prove to you that something is possible. So even if you could prove something to yourself on a very small level, I feel that would be very helpful with the Seven of Wands. Next, you have the Temperance card. Yeah, I mean, again, it's like time for action. Sometimes I feel the Temperance card, he's trying to turn water into wine here. But this path back here is called the path to glory. And he could easily just start going down this path and go get that crown. Like, there's nothing more that he needs to do. So, if you're thinking like there's more you have to learn or there's more you have to do to get something started, the answer is probably not. You could probably just get started and you'll learn as you go, which is what is showing up at the top of your next row, which is the Queen of Wands. And like I say to everyone, we are in the time of learning as you go. We really are kind of just winging it. With the Ace of Wands, it's funny that I said the word pride because you have the lion. You have Leo showing up right here with the Strength card on the Ace of Wands. I always make this joke about, Whitney Houston, right? Whenever I don't know what song someone sings is, I always just say Whitney Houston for some reason. But, it's like, I think she did sing the song, I Didn't Know My Own Strength, right? Here, Aquarius, I think I'm right about that. But what I would say is I feel you don't know your own strength here, Aquarius, and it's like but part of the inspiration thing is it's almost like you have to inspire yourself. You have to get yourself excited. And I feel that proving your own strength to yourself, that's really the secret sauce of this reading. With the Seven of Wands, you have the Ace of Swords, two aces, which is amazing. So you have two aces touching, basically on top of each other here. The Ace of Swords is a victory or a success. It's also overcoming an obstacle. The funny thing I get here for some of you as well, I don't think this is true for all of you, but something that's popping into my head is sometimes I do think there is, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, but there's like a certain amount that we have to do, that we have to push past to get something going. It's like, let's just pretend you're starting a YouTube channel. It's like maybe right now you're having a hard time getting inspired to do it. But if you would like create, maybe the number is 10 videos. It's like maybe after 10 videos, the inspiration would, show up, right? And that is kind of what I feel here with the Ace of Swords. It's almost like there's this, it's going to drive me nuts that I can't think of the word that I want right now, but I don't know, that's my ADHD brain right there for you. But again, it's almost like there's a certain, it's not really a milestone, but a certain like requirement, and it might be personal, but maybe it's like 10 videos if you're starting a YouTube channel. Maybe it's you have to go on like 3 dates if you're trying to get excited about having a relationship or whatever. And it's like if you would just reach that number, I feel like you would get over the hump, right? It's like that's what you're trying to do here. Maybe that's a better way to talk about these first 2 rows, especially, is that there's like a little bit of a hump that you need to overcome. I'm recording this video on Wednesday. I'm recording it on hump day. So how funny is that? But, I kind of feel that there is a hump that you're trying to overcome here. I feel like you will. Can't make this up. With the Temperance card, you have the Ace of Wands, so 3 aces. Now, yeah, the Ace of Wands is about out with the old, in with the new, and I feel this is just saying it's time to start. That's it. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, yeah, here you go. You have this card that says the answers you need are coming, and you have the 8 of Wands here. The 8 of Wands is a great card for receiving messages. We'll talk about it. You have this card that says the end of a tough cycle approaches. Yes, definitely, but I feel like you have to prove it to yourself as well, so you definitely could be getting to the end of a difficult cycle. You have the Queen of Wands, the Strength card, and the 8 of Wands. The Queen of Wands is about being bold, assertive, confident, really going for what you want. She really moves towards the sun. She has a sunflower here. The sunflower points towards the sun, and so she is always working her way towards her inspirations, things that make her excited, things that, make her feel good, all that other stuff. So I feel for a lot of you that you are kind of like needing to, again, find that excitement in life, or you need to return to excitement. But I want to encourage you to, again, overcome that hump. I think that would be like, yeah, maybe it would be a pain in the ass, 3 of Swords, that wasp spirit that says sometimes life stings. And, it's like, yeah, maybe it's going to be a little bit of a, I don't even think it's going to be that much hard work. It might be a tiny little hustle, but, I want to encourage you to give something that, good college try, right? Whatever it is for you. And I don't know what the number is, so sorry, I can't tell you. I don't even know what each and every one of you is thinking about doing with your life right now. But it's like, I would definitely say that with the 7 of Wands, I would look at maybe at your history. It's like, do you have a history of giving projects only a month and then you quit? It's like maybe you need to give something 2 months to wait for the inspiration. Do you normally only, date people for 2 dates? It's like maybe you need to give someone a 3rd date. I don't know, something like that. And that's what I'm getting off of this Queen of Wands. You have the Strength card. Yeah, like I said, I think you don't realize your own strength. The thing about her is she's putting her strength on display. She is showing off her work, basically. She is putting her hands in this lion's mouth, and she is kind of conquering herself. That lion represents her inner voice or her inner critic, but she is the one that's controlling its mouth. So, for a lot of you, I feel this is about your own inner strength and taking control of the words that you use against yourself or the things that you say about yourself, and making sure to keep that positive. You have the 8 of Wands. Again, you have this card that says the answers you need are coming. 8 of Wands is an excellent card for communication. It can even be communication from your higher self, your guides, your mentors, your ancestors, whatever you want to call it. And so there clearly could be a lot of messages coming in for you at this time. 8 of Wands is also quick success. So again, something will probably be successful much faster than you think. And, that's kind of what I feel here. The other thing is, like, sometimes I think when we start something, we might be a little bit too stiff. We might be trying a little bit too hard, and that's exactly why it's not working. So for those of you that are, like, specifically working on a project or a business or an idea, it's almost like if you would, it's like, I don't know, again, I don't have any good examples for you, but I see this a lot in social media where it's like people, that I work with on YouTube, they'll, they kind of like hold back their personality. They think that they have to be like everybody else or whatever. And it's like, if they would just let their personality out, then they would be fine, right? And so that's kind of like what I feel for you here. It's like about releasing this stiffness. With the Queen of Wands, you have the Page of Pentacles. Yeah, more communication. Page of Pentacles I consider a messenger. Normally we consider knights to be messengers in the tarot, but I also consider the Page of Pentacles to be like good news, so there's definitely some news or information coming in for you here. With the Strength card, you have the Hangman. Yeah, the Hangman is about being in Hangman mode. He's gained enlightenment. Sometimes we need new perspectives as well. Especially right now, we have Uranus and Gemini. I think Uranus and Gemini is new perspectives. It is looking at things from a different point of view. And so, getting different points of view on whatever it is you're dealing with in life might be beneficial. With the Eight of Wands, you have the Eight of Wands. There you go. I like when readings have a bunch of repeating cards like we have here and here, because it basically is the universe saying I meant what I said. So, again, I think there is quick movement here for those of you that really lock in and, make things happen at this time. I feel there's a lot of success as well. Here you go. Next in the area of the good stuff, you have this Waking the Lion card. You have this Ears Wide Open card. So it's funny as well that Leo is your opposite sign. And, a lot of you really could be working with Leo energy, standing out more. You have the Strength card twice. Strength wants us to stand out for our own strength. Leos are known for wanting to get a lot of attention, and it's your opposite sign. So, it definitely could be a good time for you to really go get a bunch of attention. The Ears Wide Open card it comes up a lot nowadays, and I think we're in a good time to read between the lines. Like, it's a really good time to listen to what people are not saying. It's like those little things that people don't say, and if we get good at listening and reading between the lines, there's like a million things that could come up for us because of that. Like, we could come up with better ideas. We can study the competition as well. Like, if we have competition in business, if we see what they're not doing, if we pay attention to that, then we can find a lot of benefits. It's like, one of the main things, speaking of YouTube, one of the main things I teach my YouTube group is to study the comments of their competitors, because it's like if you look at the comments, for example, they basically sometimes will talk about what the person missed or didn't talk about, or they might talk about the real issue of whatever the video is about, right? And so it's like sometimes we have to look a little bit deeper, and that's what I feel for you with that card. You have the Four Cups, Nine of Swords, and the Moon. Four Cups in the area of the good stuff would represent you getting something you want. So normally he's like disappointed with what he has received, and he's not accepting this cup because he's afraid of being disappointed again. But I do feel you are going to overcome this hump that we were talking about. It's like you're going to reach that threshold that you need to overcome, and you probably will get a good opportunity here. You have the Nine of Swords. I actually really like to see this in the good stuff for you, because with that Seven of Cups in the same row, it's almost like you are finally getting out of a nightmare. Nine of Swords is having a nightmare, waking up, being stuck in a nightmare. And so showing up in the good stuff, it could say that you're finally leaving this rumination energy behind. It's like if you're thinking about something over and over and over and over again, that can get a little bit draining. But showing up in the good stuff, I feel it's saying you're finally moving forward. You have the Moon. Again, the Moon in the good stuff to me just represents clarity and just seeing your path clearly, or understanding the moves that you need to make to be successful at this time. So that's kind of what I feel for you. I just feel like you're making moves, or you're finally moving forward. You could be getting a lot more clarity on your path as well. Again, this is part of the Fool's journey. And again, if he were starting a YouTube channel and he had to do 10 videos, it's like between here and here, the mountains, maybe that's where he completes his 10 videos. And then once he gets to the mountains, it's like that's him overcoming the obstacle. So I feel for a lot of you that there is a number. I don't know what it is for all of you, and you all want different things. So, you have to figure that out, right? With the Four of Cups, you have the King of Cups. We are in a very emotional time. I think King of Cups energy right now, he has very deep emotions, but he's in charge of his emotions. Neptune retrograding into Pisces in October. Even though we're not there yet, we're very close. And, part of Neptune energy, we have to be careful of drowning in our emotions, especially when it's retrograde. It's not really that big of a concern, but we just need to make sure that we're not, And as long as you do that, you'll be fine. But it's coming up in the good stuff, so you're probably fine. Here you go. With the Nine of Swords, you have the Sun. Yes, so perfect card to show up here. What's really weird is a lot of people have had the Sun this week. It hasn't been like an amazing week for sure. They're definitely everybody has basically had some sort of challenge, but a lot of Sun energy showing up. So there is hope. there is happy energy to be had. There is good energy for everyone. With the Moon, you have the Page of Swords. Yeah, being curious to an extent, right? It's like I wouldn't just keep thinking about something, you know what I mean, and not taking action, right? It's like I think it would be good for you to come up with an idea and take an action. You have this frying pan card that says trouble accusations. Yes, there's something weird about this eclipse we just had in Virgo. Even though we're past the eclipse, it doesn't matter. But that Virgo eclipse, I definitely feel, could bring up some issues with people. The best thing we can do is just ignore it. People are basically projecting at this time, for sure. You have this hand card. It says, in need of help, assistance, or guidance. Yeah, it might be a good time to ask for help, obviously, with a reading like this. We don't really see anyone like, if the King of Swords showed up here, I'd be like, okay, go find a mentor. But, even though they don't show up, it still could be a good time for that. You have this flute card. It says, disappointment in a friend or a lover. I think this is the beginning of the reading. I think there are past disappointments, parts of your story that are maybe preventing you from starting a new story that could be much better, and I would just let that stuff go. You have this January card and this Axe card. It says forces working against you. Yeah, I would be careful of like the information that you are consuming. It's like sometimes I think that it would be better for people to not watch tarot or astrology. It's like, if you read something about your astrology that tells you you're screwed until 2027, for example, then that might, kind of plant the seed in your head that, causes some issues. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think you need to curate the information you're allowing into your head. I would make sure you're consuming more information that makes you hopeful between now and the beginning of the year. You have this rat. It says someone working against you behind your back. Probably not true. Again, we've had this collection of retrogrades in Leo, starting with the Mars retrograde, which can definitely make you feel like someone is against you or someone's doing something behind your back, but it's not true. The best thing to do is to ignore it. So pretty interesting reading here, Aquarius, sorry. But anyway, it looks good. Again, I think and again, it's like, it's not hard either. I just think it's about motivating yourself to, get over that hump, right? So there you go. Thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.